I remember praying to God one time. I was like, God, what's up with all these gifts? Like, help me merge them together and use them into one thing, because I am very exhausted and I am tired. Hello, so welcome back to my channel. There would be a lot of background noise today because everybody seems to be playing music and there's really not much I can do. I actually recorded a video when everywhere was pretty quiet, but I felt led to record this particular one, so I'm just going to go right into it. So today I'm literally going to be talking about purpose, and yeah, let's just get right into it. So generally in life, I feel like a lot of times we get to points where we get very frustrated and we get very bored and we get very confused about what we're doing. I've heard a lot of people say things like, oh my God, are we pawns on this earth? Is God trying to, like, what if, like, in a part of a movie that God is just like, God and the angels are just watching from heaven? I've heard a lot of things about life, about living in this world and things like that. And honestly, like, being on this earth can be very confusing and exhausting. Hence, people always say that, I want to do something that matters. I want to leave a mark on this earth, things like that. And for me, I have said to myself a while back, I don't want to say a long time ago, but it's pretty long. I'm sure it's been like more than 2 years. I've said to myself, and I always say to myself that I want to die empty, because I don't think that I want to not make an impact. I literally have a lot of gifts inside of me, and I'm ready to show the world. I have already started it, but I want to do more. I want to empty myself to the world. Every single thing in me that God has put in, I want to give it back, because that is why God created me. God created me to be a blessing on the earth, and that is what I'm going to talk about today. So stick with me, guys, and let us go on this journey, shall we? Okay, so let me just sound this disclaimer. I'm not a professional, and I'm not an expert on this topic. This is just me talking from my own point of view and things that I have learned so far. So first of all, what is purpose? Purpose is something or a couple of things, or just a series of things you're meant to do on this earth, things that you were created to do. And purpose is very important because it brings about fulfillment, and it brings about movement of the world. So something that purpose does is that, all those feelings, all those times when you feel like you don't know what you're doing, you're confused, you feel like you're not needed on this earth. Yeah, purpose is like the antidote to those type of things. And purpose comes in different forms and shapes, and purpose is intertwined with your talent and your unique skills and your unique gifts and your unique personality. I hear a lot of people, when they see people that are really talented, I hear a lot of people say, oh my God, I'm not talented, I don't have any talent. And I feel very bad and heartbroken, because I don't want to believe that people are not talented. Everybody has a talent. Some people just have some more than some other people. Some people's own are more obvious, and some people's talents are more visible, because that is who they are. That's their purpose. That is what they are there to serve. And I remember telling somebody one time, when the person made a statement similar to this, I told the person that you have talent, you just don't know what it is. Because your talent can be teaching, your talent can be learning fast, your talent can be being overly empathic, your talent can be encouragement. And when people talk about talent, they always feel like, oh my god, talent must be drawing, singing, swimming, dancing. All of those things are talents, and they are very, very obvious and visible talents. So it's very easy for you to say, oh, I'm not talented because I don't have any of these things. But deep down, you do have talents. As a student, or as someone that's still under my parents, there wasn't really much that I was thinking about as regards purpose or things similar to purpose, or fulfillment and all of that. I really was just that girl that was trying to get through school. And then when I with interest and interest in different things, creativity and all of that, and when I left school and I went to started my NYC, slowly but surely those things started creeping in. There's this post graduation depression that comes, and nobody tells you. Like, okay, I think people have started talking about it, but prior to this time, like, nobody would tell you about it. It just happens, and you just be like, oh my god, oh my god, like, Jesus Christ, how did I get depressed? This is and when it happens, you just, nobody, like, see, there's no one solution for all for it. You have to ride it your own way, and if you're not careful, like, depression steps in, and it can get worse than that. In times like that, those are like the perfect times to start finding your purpose. I feel like finding your purpose should even start when you're in school, when you feel like you're trying to focus on your studies, you don't need any other distraction. I feel like that's actually the best time to start finding it. But a lot of us, me especially, like, I have left school, and like, I am in the world already. So maybe you're somebody that's already in the world, you're somebody that is already like navigating life. Adulthood, they hit your head, bah. So this one is for you. Purpose. I'd say that I can't tell this story or talk about purpose without like talking about the sad story of myself. When I left school, I was very happy to graduate. I was like, yes, 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 let's do this graduation thing. And the thing about it is, at that point in time, you're very happy. You just want to graduate. You just want to leave school. You just want to go to the next phase of your life. And that's what happened to me. And so right after school, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. I just knew that NYC was next, and I probably would figure it out after NYC. During NYC, I found out that I might, like, the next step for me should be masters, and so I decided to start working on that. And that process was very excruciatingly painful because of a lot of things. I'm not going to like list the details out here, but it was very frustrating, and I fell into a depression. And within that time, I became a bit suicidal. And not a bit, no, it wasn't during the NYC I became suicidal. I actually was during the NYC. I was very happy. I was happy to be away from home, freedom, learn a lot of things, build myself. And NYC, I worked on a couple of things. I was very open to learning things. I mean, everything was good, you know what I'm saying? So fast forward to after NYC, I had like a major disappointment in my whole schooling, masters and whatever, and I got really frustrated. And it really got to me because I'm very, very sensitive, and when things happen, they happen. Like, when things happen for normal people, it's like, oh, this thing happened to this person. But when it happens to me, it's almost like, it happened times 10. So when it happened, I got really, really frustrated. I had been building the life I was living in NYC was, I'm going to come back, and within a couple of months, I'm off to school. And then a whole new reality hit me, plus the one that I was navigating, the one of post-school shenanigans. And so, like, in that moment, I felt very frustrated. I felt empty, and I found myself thinking about ending everything. And that was just my usual day-to-day life. I remember vividly a time when I was going to work around that time, and I was just looking out of the window, and I was just like, I just want everything to end. I'm just tired. It's just painful. And I think I remember that day I went to the tax office, and that day I know that I told my boyfriend that time that I'm this is what I'm thinking about, because I felt like it was it was very I just felt like I needed to talk to somebody that I trusted, and somebody that cared for me, and somebody that could talk sense into me. Like I really didn't want to do it, but at the same time I felt like I was just tired. The pain was a lot, I was ready. And in that moment, in the moment of all of those things, I sat down and I said, okay, this one that I want to end things. Why was I created? Because like if you're a church person, if you're someone that goes to church, okay, you would know that people, they're like, once in a while they're always like, God created you for his purpose. There's even a Bible verse, or there are even many Bible verses that talk about purpose. And my dad too is a very intentional person. My dad, bless you, dad, had been very intentional about us being intentional since we were little. So from time to time, he'll give us this paper and ask us to write, what do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And I remember like going through my old diary, and I saw like a couple of things that I wrote. I mean, in a couple of my diaries or my journals, like I've seen like different things, and somehow they're kind of consistent in a way to things that I wrote. Like they're kind of intertwined in a way, like, and my life is kind of going in that direction. Maybe not completely, but in that direction. But that's not what I'm talking about. So in my mind, I always knew that there was something called purpose or whatever, and I had not yet like keyed into it. So I was just wondering, like, what is this thing about? Like, what was I created? And so I started to do deeper studies on this thing. So first of all, the first thing I did was I went to Google. Google is your friend. Google is your best friend. And so I went to Google, and I was just like trying to get the hang of things, like how to find my purpose. I'm so confused. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do. Please help my life, And in the process of begging Google to help me and save me from myself, I got sprinkles of solutions. So I can't remember what, but I know I got a couple of articles. I think I got videos too, and then I think I got books. I can't remember. But my dad has a library in the house, and I know that I went specifically when I went back to the library. I went back to start looking for books on purpose. So Miles Monroe has a couple. David Oyedepo has books on purpose too, because he's very key on purpose and all of those things. Even Miles Monroe too. And so what I did was I combined preaching, teaching with books, and that kind of just changed my mindset about trying to end a lot of things. Like honestly, yeah, this thing was like Rema, because I was ready to end everything, and my parents did not know. My mother knew I was depressed, and she would come to my room and say, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. Don't worry, God will make it happen. But like parents would say this thing because they love you and they want you to just snap out of that depression. But you can't really tell them that, oh, mommy, I want to end everything, blah, 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 blah. So, it was kind of like I was on my own, but at the same time, I wasn't on my own, because my boyfriend then was actually quite positive. He helped my life, to be honest. Although I felt a lot like a patient, but he actually helped my life a lot. Something happened down the line. I got another opportunity to go to school, and I was totally ready. I was happy. Everything was going well, and this was something that really changed my life. So I got the admission, everything. I was ready to go, and then I sleep. And then I was ready to go. I was set. I was happy. Everything was good, going well. And so I prayed to God this time. I was like, God, please. I had learned from the last time, so I was like, I grudgingly said, God, let your will be done in my life. The pain that was inside of me, I really wanted this thing, but I had learned over time that at the end of the day, you have to put God's will in front of your will, because that's what matters. And I remember saying that, and I went for this prayer program, and I was praying, and I was so sure that God was saying, yes, 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 Ekab, yes, you're gonna go, you've gotten it finally. And I had this peace come over me, and I was like, yes, I've gotten my answer. And so I go home and I sleep one of these days, and then I wake up to bad news about the whole thing, and I realized I'm not going. And then I was, that day I was so frustrated. And I've said something like this I've talked about how I packed my bags and I was going to my friend's house. So what I did was, I have this big box. I packed the box and I rode it from my room to the parlor, to the outside, the courtyard outside. And I was like, I'm out of here, because I just could not keep staying in these people's house. I was frustrated. And my friend calls me and my friend says, I know you're very tired. My friend was with me through this process. And I remember, I think that before I spoke about it, he's like, he's just chilling, waiting for me to talk about it. And the day I actually spoke about it, I just broke down. I literally tears were just like boom. And he just came through. And so he really knew like what was going on and everything. And then it's like, I know that you really, really want to go to school. I know that you want to travel, you want to do all these things, but have you thought about things this way? What if God wants you to be here? And I was like, I don't understand. God loves me, right? Nigeria is frustrating. Like, Nigeria is frustrating. Why would he want me to stay? You know, I'm smiling, but this is not how I was that day. I was like, what? You know, all those things when people say, in all things, God works together for good to them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose. Yeah, you know, that was one of those moments. And I was just like, okay, this cannot be happening. Why is it me? Like, there are 1,000 other people that could have stayed, that could have had this thing. Why me? So I was like, okay, I'm seeing sense in what my friend is saying. So what's up? What's the way to go after this? So with that in mind, I started like rebuilding my life again, and I was heartbroken as I was building it back. I felt really sad. I felt like God had deserted me. I felt like, what is this thing that is even happening? Because like, does God hate me? And in my mind, I felt like I don't even know what I was doing, but I knew that I didn't want to waste my life. So I started rebuilding again. I started focusing on the things that I was good at. I started building myself in different ways. I started building myself, my creativity, all of those things. And I started reading more. I mean, I read a lot of self-help books because when you're on this kind of path, it's very important to read self-help books, because like a lot of people talk about how self-help books are almost all the same, but the truth is everybody has their own story. Like with self-help books, everybody has their own story, everybody has their own approach, and not every approach will work for you. So that's the point. Like, so that's, I think that's the importance of self-help books, because some approaches work for some people and some approaches don't work for some people. So when you find the people that the approaches work for you, you pick it up and read it. It's true that a lot of books say the same thing, but they see them in different ways. There are ways that you will get like new inspiration from what somebody is saying, and the other ones that you just read them and you don't get anything from there. There are books that I know that I've learned a lot from, and the other books that I've read that I actually learned things from, but there'll be books that I can even forget that I've actually read before. So one thing that helped me to build my purpose is reading. Number two, something that helped me to is going back to the things that I had experienced before. So let me explain this. So when I was doing my research, they said one of the things that I got from there was, when you want to build your purpose, you have to go back to what the things you found yourself doing, things that people have told you you're really good at, things like that. And I remember that people had always told me that I was creative. I know I had gotten a couple of things from there, and when I saw them, I was like, okay, great. I knew that I was going to become a leader, because and I had to build my social skills, because I had gotten this, this election thing in school and I won it, and I had to be at the helm of social affairs in my department. So I was like, okay, so this is one of it, and I was like, cool. And so I started going back into my life. I went as far back as me being in primary school, me going for a writing competition, being picked as one of the best, being so interested in art, always being with my art teacher or being in the library, because I loved storytelling, I loved to read, I loved to research, I loved to learn new things. And there were just a lot of things that I had to put together, and I was like, okay, you know what, this is something that I can say that is very profound in my life. And so I just kept researching and going back to my life, critically going through things and seeing like a pattern. It's about building patterns from things that have been in your life. What have your past people talked about you? What have they said about you? What do people say about you? All of that. And then an inclusion that I am putting by myself is values. What are your values? What are the things you admire? What are the things you like to do? What are the things that you feel like you cannot compromise on? Those are things that are very important. So first, when I started this whole my whole talent thing, I was very, very scared, and I was like the how God gave everybody talents, and I was like the last guy that they gave one, just that I did not have one. I had more than one, and all of them could be packed together in creativity. I had interest in sewing, I had interest in art, I had interest in cooking, I had interest in a lot of things. And to be honest, it felt more like a cost than a blessing, because I was like, how do I manage all these things together without feeling overwhelmed, or without looking like a jack of all trades, master of none? This jack of all trades, master of none is something that has fueled our life as human beings and made us feel like if you don't focus on one thing, then you are a very confused person. Don't get me wrong, there are times when people can only focus on one thing, or focus is very important. But someone like me, a multi-potentialite, it was very frustrating, because I was like, in this world, what is most valued in the work system is focus. Just focus on something. You're a subject matter expert on something. And so I think that's something else that really confused me. You imagine my surprise when I found people that actually had like one-on-one talent, that were using it together. And when I see them, I'll be like, okay, this person is a superstar. Like, how are you using all these talents together? But the truth is, these things are doable. You just have to believe that these things are doable. And when I started believing that, gradually everything started coming clutch. I remember praying to God one time. I was like, God, what's up with all these gifts? Like, help me merge them together and use them into one thing, because I am very exhausted and I am tired. So over time, I have built this brand for myself where I have become like a creativity person, that anybody that comes, that talks to me or comes across my page, knows that there's certain things that I do. They know that, okay, this is Eka, this is something that she can do, and something that of course it's Eka that did this thing. So yeah, that's something that I have found to be very, very profound for me. Something I need to say as a disclaimer is, every single person that was created in this world was created for a purpose. One very important thing you need to put in your head when you're thinking about purpose is that you're here to serve people. If you think that purpose is about you getting fame or getting, successful or whatever, then you're going to miss the point, and you're going to end up being empty at the other end of things. The world, God created everybody in this world to be a blessing to each other. We're all created to be a blessing to each other. In the Bible, you see that God said, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth. He was saying it to every single person. Adam was the only person that was there at that point. Sorry, Adam and Eve were the only people that were there at that point. But he was talking to every single person through Adam. He was telling everybody to be fruitful and multiply. So don't just sit down there and think that you don't have anything that you can give the world. You have a lot to offer the world. Look within yourself. Look back to your past. Look back to all the things that have led you to the point where you are right now. Sometimes, like, it's very hard to actually figure it out, because you've already gone through, you're already on a path that you feel like this is what I'm meant to do. But if you're not getting fulfillment from it, I feel like it's very important to just look, back to whatever you feel like is calling your name. So something I like to say is, your purpose doesn't necessarily have to be the job that is feeding you. Your purpose can be something that you do that brings fulfillment to you, even if you don't get monetary value about it. You need to understand that everything is not about money. Books have actually been very, very helpful on this path, and I remember that. And also, something I'll say is that God also is very, very, very communicative when it comes to things like this. If you're willing, God is going to speak to you. I remember, like, this past couple of months, let me say in the past 8-9 months, I found myself reading books that are very, very, very similar to what I do now. And I remember that before, I was reading books on purpose, general books on purpose and all of that. And then I got to this book stand in my church, and I found myself picking books. And when I went back home and I read them, they were books about that were very, very clutched around purpose, and they kind of just I just got a burning desire. There's this one I read about a lot of women that had used their talents to push the world forward, and there was just this burning desire in me, and I was like, God, how do I do this? How do I start this? And the truth is, the best way to start, if you have something that you feel like is your purpose, the best way to start is just start. Because there are a lot of times when you feel like, oh my God, I need this. It's very, let me just tell you, yeah, that is fear speaking, that's anxiety speaking. I know that because they're always trying to drag me. But the truth is, you have to be intentional about what you want to do, and you have to push it. The thing is, I got the idea, this art for kids idea, the moment I was about to step out. I was going to church that day, and that day I got the idea. I went to the woman and I went to tell her that, you know what, I think I want to do this. Because if I waited till the end of church, I feel like my mind would have convinced me out of doing it. I just knew that in that moment of bubbliness and everything, I wanted to do it. And the truth is, the thing with things like this is, it would either fail or it will not. But you know that you tried. I am somebody that is I have like a problem with, they will either fail or they will not fail. So you have to know what you're doing. You have to be very strategic about it. If you have an idea and you feel like it's something that is worth checking out, then by all means just go through it. Go immediately, because your mind is a very powerful thing. Your mind can just have a floodload of negative feelings a couple hours after, working overtime to make you not to do that thing, and then you just feel like, oh my god, what did I do? Generally, yeah, the topic of purpose is very important, and a lot of people talk about it a lot, because there are a lot of people here around the world that have not found fulfillment in a lot of things, because even what they're doing, even when they're earning a truckload of money, they still feel like something is missing in their life, and that thing is purpose. You may be at your wit's end. You may feel like you want to end everything. You may feel like everything is not working out, but the truth is two things can coexist. Two things can totally coexist. It is true that things are not working out, but it's also true that you have a purpose. Every single person has a purpose on this earth. And if you think that, oh, I like to act, if you feel like your purpose is something that people will not want, please do not think that way. No matter how small and minute you think your purpose is, somebody needs it, even if it's just one person. I remember when I wanted to start writing on my Medium, and I remember a lot of things I've tried to do, a lot of things I've wanted to do. I found myself holding back and saying, who would want this? Who wants to do this? Who wants to read this thing? But the truth is, number one, imposter syndrome is real, and imposter syndrome will always be there to question your realities or things that you're trying to do. And you need to get used to that, because come on, it's imposter syndrome. So you need to understand that that thing is almost never going away. Something else you need to understand is you always have your crowd. You have your people. It may be 3 people, it may be 5 people. Your purpose may just have to cater for just a small number of people, and that is fine. Just because you're seeing, the big people in this, like people that are fulfilling their own purpose, and the purpose that they are fulfilling is catching a number of people, a multitude of people, it doesn't mean that you don't have a purpose. Mary Magdalene had a purpose, and her purpose got fulfilled as far as I'm concerned. Judas Iscariot had a purpose, and his purpose got fulfilled. Jesus Christ had a purpose, and his purpose got fulfilled. So I need you to change your mindset about purpose. I need you to understand that purpose is deeper than, just, oh, you were just put on this earth. There are a lot of things that it involves. There is a lot of digging that it involves. A lot of times we're just taught about how to get a job, secure a future, get money. What about that fulfillment, that emptiness that you need to fill in? That emptiness comes from not doing things that help, like not doing what you're meant to do. I have made my choice to die empty, and I would die empty, I promise. I got more convinced by this choice I made when I went to my mom's friend's funeral. I think that going to funerals or maybe just going to a funeral might help, but I've lost a lot of people in my life, and when I think back, when I go back to that, when I go back to them, and I look through their lives and I remember some of these people, I just remember the things they had done so far. I remember my communication with them, the things they were trying to achieve, and I see myself and I say, I actually wanted to end my life. I actually wanted to end everything, and these people have gone. These people have gone before me, and it's not because they wanted to go, but they had to go. And somehow I feel guilty that I'm here. I'm still here. And I'm here because I am not yet done with what I'm meant to do. So in a way, somehow I carry the burden of these people, and I say, through me, I want to fulfill what I'm meant to fulfill. I want these people to be proud of me. I want these people to know that even if they are not here, somebody is still pushing on. Somebody that was connected to them in some way was pushing on. I'm pushing my purpose because my purpose, everything is not letting me rest. I will not rest. Like, my head cannot, it's not letting me rest. Every time I want to lie down or I want to rest or do something, it's like, Ekab, you're meant to do this thing. Ekab, you're meant to do this thing. And that's why I started this art program, because I couldn't rest. I just could not rest. I was having this intense feeling about, you need to do something. Like, there is more to life than whatever you're doing. You have a purpose. You just need to be more conscious about it. You need to be more intentional about it. You need to be more willing, more open, I've said intentional. Because the truth is, you may gather all the money now, you may gather all the fame now, but there will come a time when the emptiness will come through, no matter how far you've come, no matter the amount of money, and you will not be able to shut your ears to all that loud noise. I created this video because I felt so strongly in my mind that I needed to talk about purpose. I needed to talk about these things, and it's pretty long because this thing is something that is very important and isn't talked about a lot. And I want you to understand that you are loved at home, you are loved here, you're loved everywhere, and you are needed. You have a purpose. You need to find what it is. You need to open your mind to it. You're not talentless. God forbid that you're talentless. It's not even, I'm even saying, it's not possible. If you like to talk too much, that is a purpose. That is a gift. That is a gift. That's a talent that you can build. You can encourage people. It doesn't have to be worldwide or world stage. It's okay. See. And also, lastly, I'll say this. I'll say that I am somebody that likes to be in my comfort zone. I like to be indoors. I'm a homebody. So when this thing came up, I was like, yeah, I'm going to teach this kids. I'm going to be in front. I was like, how is this going to happen? I was nervous, but I knew that I had to do it. If you have a purpose, if you've gotten what you need to do, you need to just push. You need to actually push. You need to allow yourself to push. You need to come out of your comfort zone. You need to understand that it's not about you. It's really not about you. It's about the people that need your help. Wherever you are, whoever you are, there are people that need you. There are people that need your gifts, and vice versa. There are people that you need their gifts. You need to be open-minded to people that are sensitive to your gifts, people that know what you have, people that encourage you, you know, people that are in sign with what you want to do. If you want to move forward, stick with people that are forward thinkers, stick with people that actually want that kind of purpose too. The world is your oyster. Go explore. Much love from me. I feel like I just wrote my vlog on YouTube. Oh my god, guys. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this very long video of mine. I hope you really enjoyed this video because I really enjoyed making it. I feel like I should do more vlogs like this. I love this vlog already. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Yeah. Have a nice day, guys. Bye. Don't forget, you are needed on this earth. You are loved, and we need your talent. You're not useless. We need your talent. Please come through for us. Please start building your talent. Please start finding your purpose. Please, we need you. The world needs you. Bye.